Happy Labor Day, Evan.
Happy Labor Day. Yeah, I'm not really the only labor I've got going on right now is just kind of moving from the man cave to the mic. You know what I mean?
There you go. Yeah.
It was very labor intense.
Yeah, but we're here, man. We're doing Right Sides Only Radio.
We're awake. Fueled by 30-30 coffee. Jacked up on 30-30 coffee.
Very jacked up, very fueled by 30-30 coffee. Yeah. Got a fresh cup right here. I had to grab the biggest mug in the cabinet this morning. Not because it's early. I'm glad to be here, actually. I'm motivated for this show today, man. The morning stuff gets me going. I'm great in the morning.
Yeah, I kind of wish, to be honest with you, I wish we could kind of just do this, like every morning, like for a living, and not really have to do like work, not actually go like on our regular career work job thingies.
Yeah.
This would be really nice. This would be a nice change.
This is fun, though. Yeah, this is fun work.
Yeah, this isn't really actually work.
Get to talk about racing, man. Get to talk about some racing, NASCAR.
Talk about racing and crack a few jokes. And
yeah, we'll have a good time.
We got some great promotional partners that help us out and give us stuff. So
yeah, like 30-30 Coffee, guys. Check out 30-30 Coffee. You got to try their stuff out. So I got my hands on a bag of coffee from 30-30. You can follow.
What'd you get?
The Colombian. I can't say the second word. I got to relook at that again. I was terrible. I didn't look at it with my glasses this morning. So it's their Colombian blend. Organic. I'll tell you this much about that coffee, which really stood out to me. Very clean.
Yes.
We'll have to get with Steve Elmore to kind of help us discover our coffee palates, at least me a little bit better, but very clean tasting. It doesn't leave that bittery aftertaste that, some of the store-bought brands give you, or even some of those bigger store-type places give you. So if you guys are interested, you're big coffee connoisseurs, check out at 30-30 Coffee on Twitter. Here's the thing on their website, 30-30 Coffee. You got to spell it out, 30-30coffee.com. Here's the one cool thing about 30-30, Evan, which is not news to you, but it will be news to our listeners. You can sign up and get their coffee delivered kind of on a monthly basis, so you can kind of keep the coffee stash, leveled up there.
Yeah, they're like kind of a coffee of the month kind of gig going on.
Yeah,
so
it's cool.
Neat people, man. Very ethical company. They definitely believe in giving back to the communities they benefit from. So every place that they have a co-op or they do business with a co-op or a plantation, they're always keeping an eye on the owners of these businesses to make sure they're treating their employees right and giving back to their community. So.
Right.
They stand for the good cause. So
absolutely. So check them out, fans. Folks. At 30-30 Coffee on Twitter, like I said, or 30-30coffee.com, and check out what Steve Elmore is doing over there in Peoria, Illinois. And I saw that they're open. Yeah, see, I'm telling you, dude, this coffee's going to work for me today. And then, secondly, Light Up the World Beverages with Darren Hagen, huge supporter of Right Sides Only Radio. We really appreciate his support. And in turn, for those of you that are listening to the show, RSOR 5150 will get you 25% off of your own custom label water bottle with the LED lights. They light up, Evan.
Yeah, man, they are really, really cool water bottles. They're neat. They're flashy. They're bright. Mm-hmm. You can put anything. Darren and the guys can basically put anything that you want on them. It'd be great for weddings, bachelor parties, golf tournaments, kids' birthday party. I mean, who wouldn't want those as a kid? I'm kind of upset that we didn't have LED technology when you and I were kids. As a matter of fact, they had just really, I think, invented fire.
Yeah.
So
we're still fascinated by flashlights there.
We just really kind of came out of the dark ages when Cliff and I were kids, so we didn't have LED technology.
Nah.
So I'm a little jealous I didn't have these at my birthday party.
Yeah. At Light Up Beverage on Twitter or Light Up Beverages or lightuptheworldbeverages.com will get you over to Darren. And like I said, you can design your own label for your own function, whatever that might be. And they'll get you some water bottles in your hands that light up. And I'm telling you, people are going to go nuts for this stuff. Zip Air Tools USA. I don't know what, Isaac Fitzwater over there at Zip Air has been, obviously Zip Air is a huge supporter of, like we always say, support those who support the sport. They do that with Brian Jinsky. Sorry, Obi. I just want to go with Obi. The last. Trust me, my last name's Doherty, dude. I know how to screw up a last name. But check out Zip Air Tools USA at Zip Air Tool USA on Twitter or zipair.com. Quality, durable tools at a competitive price. I don't know how you can beat that, Evan.
No, actually, our buddy Obi, driver of the number 29 Chevrolet SS, hailing from North Carolina, he actually uses them at his job.
Yeah.
So his full-time job, where he makes money for Mama and Baby and company, he actually uses Zip Air Tools. So it's kind of the perfect relationship with Obi and Zip. Matt Wallace is also partnered up with Zip Air Tools. He's a young up-and-comer.
Yep.
May or may not have heard of him. So, I mean, they're great. We've been just became fast friends with fast companies. Good people over at Zip Air Tools. So check them out. Check out Isaac Fitzwater. He's a great, easy guy to get to know. Very friendly, very personable, and actually quite funny. So he keeps me cracking up on the regular too. So heck, even if you don't need some air tools, or if you do, maybe you need a laugh. Everyone needs a laugh. So, and they got that crazy, like that foam blaster thing is coming out here before too long. It's going to be out before Christmas, and Cliff and I are both going to have to get our hands on one.
Yeah.
Because it would be like great for like your wheels and your engine, and you have to go check it out. Go on YouTube and check out Zip Air Tools. And they actually have a test run of this foam blaster thing. I think that you will like them.
Yep.
You have to have one.
Yes, it's one of those must-have under the Christmas tree this year.
I keep finding myself like actually trying to come up with uses for it. Right?
Oh yeah.
So, I can do this. Oh, I can do that.
You know how it is, dude. A tool should be multi-purpose.
Yeah, I'm almost wondering if I can't make like meringue with it.
Hey, there you go.
So I could like totally cover like meringue a cake or something like that.
Or hey, you can do.
See what I'm saying? Man, this is the kind of stuff I do.
You're a creative individual there, Evan.
Yeah,
no
this
doubt.
Kind of stuff you and this is what I do when you and I don't get together.
Frequent enough. I was just going to say you can whip up some milk on the top of your 30-30 coffee. Oh, there you go.
Froth. Cappuccinos.
There you go.
Cappuccinos on me, folks.
NectarSunglasses.com. We still have the promo code RSOR15. Gets you 15% off your order. I don't know about you. I know, Evan, you've ordered up a new pair. I cannot wait to get these on my head next week.
I think you and I actually placed an order on the same day.
I know. It was crazy. Yeah, it was
really good. Because I text Cliff and I said, "Hey, man, I just ordered it." He's like, "I did too."
Yeah.
So,
I got 2 pairs coming. You know what's cool is, especially for polarized sunglasses, I don't know about you folks out here in Southern California, polarization in the lens is very important. We got water around here, bright sunshine, all that sort of thing. I think Kevin Harvick probably could used a pair yesterday, driving into the light, and part of that Southern 500 yesterday. But go check out NectarSunglasses.com or on Twitter at NectarSunglass. Use our promo code RSOR15, and it's going to get you 15% off your order. They got some great styles, great lens selection, that sort of thing. And I don't know about you, I just got a fresh pair of spectacles for the daily use, and I didn't realize they also did prescription. So if you're a prescription glassware and you're looking for some cool frames and stuff like that, Nectar Sunglasses is the place to check that out. Oh, yeah. And the big highlight, dude, I want to say this too, they're affordable. I mean, I got myself 2 pairs of sunglasses polarized, and I think I spent about $60-something or something like that. So you can't beat that.
No, it's really hard to beat. And actually, if you spend a lot of time in front of a computer, obviously Cliff and I do. I spend most of my life on one. They actually have fatigue reduction glasses that you can buy too. So if you don't need them, if you don't have prescription glasses or whatever that already have that, like my lenses already have a coating that's supposed to help with that blue light. They actually have fatigue reducing glasses as well that you can wear when you're sitting in front of your computer to help reduce fatigue and exposure to your eyes. So it's actually has really some neat stuff going on, and they're trying to save the bees.
Yeah, saving the bees. So they're important, man.
They're important. So there you have it.
Yep.
If you like honey, you need to buy a Nectar sunglass.
And we're live. One of the things about our podcast that we do a little bit differently is that we're live right now.
Live.
Yeah, if you're listening
all
to us,
time.
we're sitting here right now doing this show live for you folks. And we have a dial-in number. It is 855-482-7223. That'll get you on the line with at Right Sides Radio. Evan and I are here. If you guys want to call in, chime in about Labor Day plans, what you got going on, what you thought of the Southern 500 yesterday and the Martin Truex win. How about that?
If you want to talk about racing, you want to talk about barbecue, maybe make us jealous with some of your dry rubs. Hey, we're here.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you have us for an hour. So I would take full advantage of that. I would call in, and you get the chance to talk to Cliff and I.
Yeah.
And that's sorry. That's just good times.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. Can't miss out on that. And we would be remiss if we did not promote our own big show next Monday on September the 12th from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Evan and I are going to be here for 3 hours doing Right Sides Only Radio.
3 grueling hours.
They're not going to be grueling
Cliff,
because we have some great guests lined up for our show.
Yeah, but Cliff has to wake up like Sunday.
Yeah.
It's like starts so because of the whole time change thing. Cliff's got to wake up at like 3 in the morning to make this happen. So
yeah, it's going to be fun. I was thinking about that. We got to talk about whether we, the phone line thing's one thing, but I don't know, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning here on the West Coast advertising this phone number, you don't know what we're going to get.
That's true. That's true. This could parlay itself into a discussion about, extraterrestrial life forms and whatnot.
Yeah.
We could. You never know. It could be like one of those real coast to coast kind of moments.
Yeah.
So
yeah. We and then of course we have a guest every hour for those 3 hours. So we're not going to drop those just yet. Later in the week, once we shore up final details, we'll be blasting it out on Twitter and that sort of thing. So you can check out your favorite guest that you're interested in listening to, or you can join us for the whole 3 hours. But it's the big show, Monday, September 12th, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to have guests, like I said, on the program. We're going to have stuff to give away. We actually got some stuff that we're waiting to share with our listeners and that sort of stuff that should be here middle part of next week. So,
we're sure hoping. And I'll drop a little bit of hint. I'll throw a little bit of bait out there in the water and see what y'all think. If y'all like hometown short track racing and you're fascinated by the tech sport that we love so much, you might want to tune in that morning for a second.
Absolutely.
So, and that's all I'm going to give you. You get nothing else.
Yeah. We're givers, but we don't give that much. No, we're just kidding.
That's it. No soup for you.
And then later on in the show, we have Thrivent Financial sponsor, the sponsor of Michael McDowell, the driver for the Circle Sport Leavine Family Racing number 95 Chevy SS on Right Sides Radio later in the episode today. So you don't want to miss that. And like I said, if you have questions or things like that to be part of the show, 855-482-7223 will get you on here, and we'd love to hear from you guys.
Yeah, we're very, very fortunate to have Thrivent Financial and Michael McDowell and Circle Sport Leavine Family Racing on board for this show. We feel very, very honored to have had that opportunity.
Absolutely.
We get to talk about all kinds of neat stuff. Of course, we had to previously record that segment because of timing, but it is what it is. He's actually he's a great guy. He's a lot of fun. He's very very charismatic, and we certainly hope that you appreciate the time that we got to spend with him as much as we did, because we sure did. So every guest on our show is definitely special, especially when they're one of the good guys. Small teams, big dreams.
Yep. Absolutely.
And that's definitely what he's all about. So we can't wait to get to that and share that with y'all. But hey, Cliff. Yes. What a weekend of racing again.
Yeah, it was a great weekend.
So you've got Darlington, which seems to be the great equalizer. Doesn't look very intimidating at the onset, but then once you start getting some laps down and you start chewing tires up, man, Darlington becomes daunting.
Right.
And we had a couple of good races. We had the Xfinity Series race, we had the Cup Series race, and of course everything kind of got shaken around because of what is the name of that storm? Hermine,
yeah.
Hermine-ish, something, whatever, Cliff.
Yeah.
That blew through the middle panhandle of Florida and decided to trek its way up the East Coast. So it kind of shook everything up. It shook South Carolina up. It shook North Carolina up. Haley Moody was supposed to make her re-entrance into the sport at Southern National Motorsports Park on the 3rd. Well, that race got pushed off to the 17th apparently now.
Right.
Darlington got all shaken up, and they started just immediately postponing activities because of the storm that was coming.
Right.
But who knew about the storm that was coming last night?
Nobody saw that coming, I don't think.
I mean, that was every bit of, that's the reason that we love motorsports, is particularly the reason that we love NASCAR, is because it is so unpredictable. So you've got the 4 team, which was actually my pick, fast.
Yeah.
Now, of course,
fast.
I believe was he not awarded the pole based on points? I'm trying to remember how that whole thing went down.
Because of it went off of current standings or current points. So that's why him and Brad were up in the front there.
Up in the front, right.
Yeah.
So, but, obviously, he's going to have a fast car. And I got to tell you, there's 2 paint schemes that I really, actually there's 3 that I really got a kick out of. Mm-hmm. I love Michael McDowell's because it's a throwback to a car that, and he'll actually talk about that on his interview, so I'll leave that thunder for him.
Right.
Let him tell you a little bit about the background on his paint scheme, but very classy, very clean.
Yeah.
I like that one. I loved the 14.
Yeah.
The 14 car was super cool with the gold rims, and that car was just really tight, and I appreciated that. And I really liked the number 4. Because nothing kind of says classic Americana like Busch to begin with. They've been around in the sport for so long.
Yeah. Well, it was
fast car.
Very fast
car, Cliff.
Yeah, very fast car. I want to share a quick little story. I was at the grocery store yesterday, and the guy in front of me had a tall can Busch beer with the number 4 scheme all over it. And I'm standing there behind the guy, eyeballing his beer like I was a crazed alcoholic, right? And so he finally turned around and he saw me kind of eyeballing his beer, and I had some items on the belt there, and he said, "Oh, it looks like you're stocked up for the games today." I said, "Oh, I got a race to watch later today," and then that opened up the door to the whole thing, and then we started talking about Harvick and that sort of stuff. So that can's actually really cool, but like you said, yeah, definitely a classic American iconic scheme for the number 4, and I'm telling you, he should have had Jimmy Johns on there, because the way Harvick was moving through the field yesterday, despite some of his setbacks that we can certainly get into, freaky fast, dude. I mean, that car, like I said right before we started the show, I mean, Harvick was able to move at will through that field, and I think despite the fact that he was obviously a little pissed off about the performance on pit row, he had the car that at least he was able to recover as much as he could in those final laps.
Yeah, 214. I mean, he led 214 of 367 laps. So, I mean, he was the dominant car, and it didn't look like there was anything that was going to stop him, or for that matter, it didn't look like anything was going to catch him.
Yeah, and that last restart, dude, he was after Truex like Truex owed him money.
Oh, yeah. Well, and then, in reading the reports this morning, and this is going to kind of, Cliff and I have been talking about adding a new segment, more details to come. Mm-hmm. And reading some reports this morning, Rodney Childers actually blamed the last complete debacle on pit road on a pit gun.
Pit gun?
On a pit gun. Yeah, air gun. Failure, basically. Just a complete failure. And, I don't know. I mean, I guess there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, things happen. Collectively, the issues that the 4 car and in particular the 78 car have had, I mean, sometimes it seems like the just really has had the overall performance. They've been able to linger in second, third, top 5. That car is always going to be predominantly in the top 5.
Right.
I think he's already established that.
Yeah.
The 78 team has lost races because of pit issues.
Sure.
Last night was a clear example of the 4 team basically taking a huge hit. I mean, this morning on NASCAR.com, they said that he lost 17 spots overall.
Ugly.
I mean, I don't care how fast. And the interesting thing is he battles back and he still finishes second. He's still runner-up.
Yeah.
But that's got to be frustrating for a team that is at the top of their game. Yeah. For a driver that is at the peak of his career, to get beaten, I mean, really to beat yourself.
Yeah.
Because there's nobody else in the field that was going to beat Kevin Harvick.
Exactly. And it's pretty interesting looking back at, kind of how Harvick's, we talked about this a little bit last week on our last week's episode, but also, with Kevin Harvick in that 4 team and how dominant they were through the 2015 season, they're starting to show signs of they're well on their way of coming back to that, I think. And, we've obviously talked about this many times on the show between the Joe Gibbs Racing dominance and kind of where Stewart Haas and Hendrick are kind of playing out right now. But that 4-car team, I think we can start to see, or at least I'm seeing, the fact that they're going to be the team to beat, I think, going into the chase.
I agree. I think they're, and we always talk about this because momentum is always so important, and confidence is always so important. Now, I'll be honest with you, psychologically, if you have to be afraid every time you pit, it does. I think it does something psychologically.
Yeah.
That in the interview, the post-race interview they did was, psychologically, that does a lot to a driver. A driver needs to have confidence. Driving is all about confidence. It's all about rhythm. And every setback like that forces you to work harder. It forces you to push your equipment that much more closer to the edge, which is always inherently dangerous. So, I mean, when you have a dominant car that you can keep out front, you can keep in clean air, and you don't have to worry about incidental contact trying to work your way to the front, that's the way that you want to stay, obviously. You don't want to be buried back in 20th or 30th or 15th or 16th and having to battle your way back and worry about all the things that go along with it, like the contact between Stewart and Scott, like the contact with Boyer and Almirola. I mean, there was a lot of contact last night, and it was a pretty aggressive race because people are starting to feel the heat. Yeah. The season is closing down, and everybody knows it. So now is the time to take no prisoners, go out there and grab as many wins as you possibly can, or beat the guy next to you out of an opportunity at a chase berth because you don't want to end up having to chase him for the trophy.
No.
Same thing with the Truck Series.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Did that escalate quickly?
Finish in the grass, man. That's what we'll call that one, the finish in the grass.
Finish in the grass in old Canada, where our guy Al is from.
Yeah.
And there again, everyone in the Truck Series, they got 2 races left.
Yeah.
To get in the chase. And last night was a clear example of John Hunter Nemechek either A, didn't want to have to face a team like Junior Motorsports in the chase, or whatever his methodology for that level of aggression. One thing's for sure, if Cole Custer doesn't find a way to grab a win, doesn't look like he's even going to be able to points his way into the top 8 into the chase.
Yep. No, you know what I was going to say
about... Doesn't matter how you feel about the strategy that played out. That's a clear example of, man, I really don't want to have to face this guy in the chase.
Yeah, exactly.
That John Hunter Nemechek is still an underfunded team. They're operating largely on their own money, and I mean, who wants to face a team like Junior Motorsports in a chase for a championship? So
that truck race, I had that on yesterday outside when I'm doing some of the stuff, taking care of the honeydew list, and kept checking in and out. I'm telling you what, dude, that Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, we need to go there more often. That road course.
You mean like you and I,
or
like
NASCAR in general, dude? We got to get some cars up on that track more, because I'll tell you what, that road course was awesome. I've never really sat down to really look at kind of how the layout of the track is. I love the fact that they seem to have been able to carry a lot of speed through a lot of that track, and I'm telling you what, those truck guys this year are just off the chain all the way around. They are just racing like nobody's business out there. So if you guys haven't really caught a truck race lately, I really encourage you to do so, because those guys are just hammer time out there, big time.
We've been very blessed as NASCAR fans the past couple of weekends, because we've had some great, normal, quote unquote, routine, quote unquote, track racing with the Cup and Xfinity or the Cup and the truck. But we've also had some road racing sprinkled in, like with Mid-Ohio, which I think that NASCAR is missing a huge opportunity by not putting the Cup cars on that track.
Right.
That is, and maybe there's some type of engineering reason why they don't want to do it, or maybe it's just too expensive to tear up a bunch of race cars, and I get that.
Right.
But what a fun track that is to watch. I mean, to me, the presentation of that race is phenomenal. They did a great job action. And I'm one of these guys that wants to watch the world burn. So my attitude is I think we need to have a road race in the chase.
Yeah, I think, I would expect that maybe NASCAR, if they're close to making a decision on that for 2017, I wouldn't be surprised. Well, hopefully soon.
You can't tell me they haven't thought about it.
Yeah,
you can't tell me they haven't at least thought about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, everybody, if you're listening to the show and you want to call in, love to hear your thoughts and opinions. 855-482-7223 is how you get on Right Sides Only Radio with Evan and I. We're just going through kind of the recap of the Southern 500 this morning. We have our guest interview with Michael McDowell coming up in just a few minutes. So let's talk about Truex, though. So big win for Truex yesterday, despite a ton of setbacks through the course of this year. Trying to go through quickly this morning to look at some of what those were. Reminder, everybody, Cole Pern is still on probation through the end of this year. Evan, we had talked about Kevin Harvick at his press conference yesterday when he said he was done cheerleading for his team. But what we did note was kind of that look in his eye, and I would imagine that now with the last race coming up in Richmond of the regular season next week, we're going to see more and more of what we got out of Darlington yesterday, where these guys are just laser focused on trying to get the best finishes they can. And, I had asked you about this offline. Keselowski and Kyle Busch got into it a little bit yesterday, and I thought I saw in the post-race video there on NBC that they, somehow there seemed to be a little bit of an altercation there between Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski, and they didn't really show any more video of it. I'm not trying to create the drama, but just the fact that, certainly that little bump and run that happened there between those two, I'm telling you, those nerves are probably frayed at this point as they're getting ready to head into the chase, and these guys are going to become extremely competitive, even more so over the next week or two. So we have a lot to look forward to in the chase. That's the reason the big show, Evan and I were talking about this. We want to bridge the gap between you folks, between the regular season that'll be finished. We'll know what the chase grid looks like. I know that there's several that are hinging on nothing but points at this point, whether they stay in or not. I thought it was interesting that Chase Elliott's actually plus 24 in the chase right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, here's kind of the and I didn't actually see the post-race kerfuffle between the two gentlemen aforementioned. Now, it wouldn't have surprised me if there wouldn't have been a little bit of angst between those two. I mean, Tony Stewart got called to the holler after his little tie-up with Brian Scott. So here's the deal. Kyle has not appeared to be performing kind of how we're used to that car performing here over the past several weeks. Usually it's the dominant car at every track. Really hasn't been the case. That's not necessarily a bad thing because Cliff kind of has this conspiracy theory that maybe they're just kind of toying around and lingering and kind of waiting in the weeds. That's great. But this is the wrong time of the season to start showing your belly, so to speak.
Yeah.
So any type of weakness that you might have, whether that be pit road, whether that be your attitude or your temper on track, wrong time to expose that.
Yeah.
And also it's got to be frustrating for Kyle to have a car that appears, so if I'm not going with the conspiracy theory that Cliff has, it appears to be somewhat underperforming, or maybe NASCAR discovered that they were doing something, and now they can't do it anymore.
Yep.
Perhaps. The way that we're used to it handling, which normally looks like a rocket ship on rails. Mm-hmm. It's frustrating.
Yeah.
It's going to be frustrating for a driver who is used to going out and dominating. Case in point, if you go to the Xfinity Series and you look at the standings, this is kind of crazy. And I guess I never thought about this. And I don't want to get into this argument about the whole series driver, and I don't want to do that. But it's an interesting thing to note that of all the races that they have ran in the Xfinity Series this season, you know how many actual race winners there are in the Xfinity Series?
No.
There are.
Please, tell me.
Justin Marks is one. He's won one race. Eric Jones has won 3. Daniel Suarez has won 1. Elliott Sadler has won 2. those are your only Xfinity regular series, regular Xfinity drivers that have won races this year.
Right.
So that speaks, obviously, volumes about the dominance of one Sir Kyle Busch.
Sure.
Same thing in the Sprint Cup Series. I mean, Kyle Busch is jumping in the car, the 18 car on Sundays, and dominating. And to me, hasn't really seemed to be the case. It'll be interesting to see what goes on in the chase, but here's what I see, is I see the drivers that seem to have a hard time holding on to their collective psyche on race day are going to start having problems, because this is when the heat starts getting turned up. This is when it all matters, and now they're going to have to battle their way into the next round. I mean, this is not going to be a, hey, don't worry, we have all season to go out and grab a win.
Right.
I mean, this is it. Junior looks like he's out for the rest of the season. That's a whole different story. Casey Kane, not sure what's going on with the 5 kid, but it just doesn't seem to be pulling together, to the extent that he basically said that if they can't pull it together in 2017, he might have to consider, which that seemed weird.
Consider what?
Say never thought I'd heard of such a thing in my life. As a driver saying, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with my life, you know?
Right.
It's like, I know what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to race cars.
Yeah, exactly. Get them to the finish line.
It's what you were built to do, Ricky Bobby.
Funny stuff. Hey, so we've been talking about Michael McDowell's interview. We have that for you guys. We're here at the bottom of the hour here, 9:30. We'll definitely we'll get back to the rest of the Southern 500, what we have to look forward to coming up here for Richmond this coming weekend. But now we want to go into the driver interview we had with Michael McDowell in number 95 from Circle Sport, Leavine Family Racing. Evan, do you have anything to add for this wonderful gentleman?
No, this is really kind of a neat deal that we did with Thrivent Financial. Basically wanted to have a talk with Michael McDowell about, fan engagement and his future in the sport and how he's working to build the Thrivent Financial future along with Circle Sport, Leavine Family Racing. And it's really kind of a neat deal, so we're very blessed to have had him on our show. So we hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, here it goes with Michael McDowell. How's everything looking out there at Darlington this weekend with the car? You guys ready for this?
Oh, yeah, we're ready. It's a fun weekend here at Darlington, throwback week, and everybody's running around with white pants and white shirts and mustaches and funny-looking hats. It's, the fans and the crews, they go all out. It's a lot of fun.
That's awesome. And then, Mike, it's very obvious that you're very fan-focused, and you get a lot of inspiration out of your fans. And especially with Thrivent, and they're running this program of fan inspiration, and we've heard that you're taking their quotes and putting them into your car, and that's what's motivating you and keeping you motivated week after week. How important is that fan sentiment towards you, and how does that play out towards your success each week on the track?
Yeah, for sure. It's something that we've been doing with Thrivent here for the last couple of years is putting in inspirational messages in the car, and just a reminder of just what's important and why we're all doing what we do, and just keep the focus and to keep pushing forward and pushing hard. But this year we've taken a step further and given fans the opportunity and a platform to share inspirational photos or videos or just messages in general. There's so much negativity in the media and in the world, and it doesn't take but a few minutes to flip on the news and you can get pretty discouraged. So just giving people a platform and an opportunity on thriventracing.com to be inspired and to inspire others. And when you do, you enter a chance to win some cool Thrivent Racing prizes and gifts and some neat stuff like that. So, it's just a way to bring some positivity back to the world and try to pass that along.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. I just want to let you know, Michael, and I'm not putting a plug in for myself, so don't think that's what I'm doing. I actually participated in that contest, so I'm still waiting on a response from Thrivent. So if you could put in a good word, I'd appreciate that. But I thought I won.
We got one more week. One more week to continue to post and to enter. Then we're going to pick the grand prize winner that's going to get the opportunity to go to Homestead, Miami for the season finale. So Motor to Miami, Thrivent Racing, one more week. So make sure you go on there and enter. It's going to be a great weekend, and a lucky fan is going to get an opportunity of a lifetime, that's for sure.
That's really cool stuff. And I mean, Thrivent really seems to, they really seem to bring a lot of positive to the sport. I mean, that's what I see on all the social media accounts is they're always putting you in the best possible light. Obviously, that's not difficult to do. You make that really easy. And by the way, congrats. I'm under the impression we heard at least at Mid-Ohio. First of all, congrats on your big win at Mid-Ohio.
Yeah.
That was not only an amazing finish to watch, but right at the same time you're doing your burnout, they had announced that y'all had actually adopted another child, so congrats on that as well.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, it was amazing to get that first win, and meant a lot to, everybody, my family and I, and, when you lose 297 times, that first win's awfully special, so, very thankful, and it was a great weekend.
How's the rest of the team looking going into Darlington today, coming off that win like that? I mean, I've got to imagine that, like Evan said, a lot of inspiration goes into your racing program. How's everybody feeling today, getting ready to get behind the wheel, that number 95, and do Darlington today?
Yeah, feeling great. Proud of my team and all my guys. We've been working really hard. We're still a small team at Circle Sport Leavine Family Racing, but got great people and great partners with, Thrivent Financial and K-Love and Malware Bites, and the list goes on and on. And we've grown this program over the years, and we're not where we want to be, but we're not where we were. And that's the real focus, is to keep pushing forward and keep growing this program and putting ourselves in a better position every year. And that takes doing it every week. And, tonight's another opportunity for us to get a solid race.
It sounds like it really kind of sounds like when you speak about Thrivent and K-Love and Circle Sport Leavine Family, it sounds like maybe you have met kind of your perfect home between your ideals and your values in life and what they all share. I guess you kind of see that growing over time. Is that what you're trying to do? Is kind of help them build that program?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a great home for me. It's a family environment, and it's still small enough that you can enjoy it with the people that you're doing it with. But at the same time, it's growing and being more competitive. I mean, we all want to be competitive, and we want to have opportunities to win races and challenge. For top 15s and top 10s in the Cup Series is hard to do. But probably the most valuable part of this organization is the partners, that allow me to, be authentic with who I am. And like you said, live out my faith and not be ashamed of it. And having partners around this race team that allow me to do that is awesome.
Right.
It is a great home for me and a great place for me.
Let me ask you something. You're a veteran. You've been around for a day or two, and you actually have, going into your background, I mean, you've got a wide array. I mean, you've had a really fantastic career in motorsports. How do you, as a driver, approach Darlington? What is your take on how you're going to be successful in Darlington?
Man, this is a daunting place. It's I haven't been here for about 3 years, but I remember coming here the very first time in 2008, and it scared the pants off of me. It's just a fast, just high risk. You're right up against the wall. Everything's moving fast. The track looks really wide, but the line's very narrow, and it's just intimidating. To come back here 8 years later, I can tell you yesterday, my very first few laps in a few years, I felt exactly the same as I did in 2008. I'm like, man, this place is intimidating. But you get in the rhythm, you get in the zone, and the biggest thing is not making any mistakes. The tires fall off a lot. It's very easy to get into the fence. It's very easy to miss pit road here and to spin coming down the pit road. You got to run a flawless night. You got to manage your tires well, and you got to stay out of the fence as often as possible. So, my approach is to race the racetrack, to get ourselves in a good position, and just fight hard to stay on that lead lap and put yourself in position at the end.
That's awesome. And so, I mean, you certainly have your hands full going into this weekend. We look forward to it, and we certainly appreciate you, Michael, for joining us on Right Sides Only Radio. We know you're busy, a lot to look forward to. By the way, the fire suit and your car, the number 95, awesome.
Sweet.
Yes,
it is
awesome.
Sweet. It is.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah. So
crisp, it's awesome.
It's just crisp and clean
so.
and classy. It's just real. And it's a throwback, I believe, to Richard Childress, is it not?
That's it.
That's right. Yeah, it's his 1976 Kansas Jack number 3 car that he drove himself. And it's cool that, Thrivent let us, run that team, and it turned out really nice.
Yeah, looks great out there.
That is really awesome. So do you have anyone that you want to send a particular shout-out to, special thanks? Here's kind of your opportunity to kind of throw just love and affection at all the people that support you along the way.
Man, there's so many, there's not enough time. I think that was probably when I was in Victory Lane and doing the hat dance, the photographer was like, hey, look over here. And they probably thought I was just spacing out or whatever, but, I was thinking about, not just in my Cup career, but my entire career from go-karts to where I'm at now, how many people, help make this possible and have supported me, and, big, small, financially, work, whatever it is. There's so many people that make it possible that it's, it makes it really memorable.
Right. Well, Michael, from us at Right Sides Only Radio, we certainly wish you all the best out there in Darlington today. We'll certainly be looking forward to seeing your performance on the track today. And like I said, the best of luck to everybody out there on Circle Sport Leavine Family Racing number 95.
All right, thank you. Talk to you soon.
Yeah, thanks. Take care.
Thanks, Mike.
Bye.
So there you have it. Michael McDowell, number 95 Thrivent Racing Circle Sport Leavine Family 95 Chevy SS. Evan, check this out. So as we're listening to the interview yesterday, one of the things that kind of stands out after the fact when you get to listen back at that is just the complete humility that Michael McDowell expresses. I mean, he's very open about his faith. Obviously, any NASCAR fan, race fans aware of who Michael McDowell is and kind of the great things he's doing through Thrivent Financial. I was looking at this quote that he has on ThriventRacingPromo.com. If you guys have a chance, go out there. Michael McDowell chooses on a weekly basis a inspirational quote or video or picture or something like that. They're looking at these types of things, and this gentleman is obviously performing each week, motivated by the support from his fans. So if you have a chance, head out there to ThriventRacingPromo.com, and like Michael was talking about, you can register online, you can upload messages to the team there on the number 95. And then lastly, they're running this promo, and I was joking with you yesterday about this, Evan. They're doing the Motor to Miami sweepstakes, so you can register to win. Thrivent Financial is going to put you in an RV out there at Homestead, Miami at the final race of this 2016 season if you win.
You need to stay out of my RV, Cliff.
Yeah. I told Evan, I said, I'm calling bunk bed.
Hey, you need to stay out of my RV, Cliff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna be there. So me and Cliff and the Batman, we're all going to be up in Homestead having a large time. So let me tell everybody just real quick. We still have a little bit of time left on our show. We want to get into talk about some more racing, but just really quick, if you're curious about what Thrivent Financial actually stands, their core values. They create financial strategies that help Christians be wise with money and live generously. Their whole thing is Christian based, and their whole thing is about kind of helping you protect your money and actually grow wealth. Meanwhile, having some left over, of course, to help the not so fortunate. So that's a really cool thing. And I mean, you cannot have asked for a better spokesperson than Michael McDowell to do. Because he does so very upfront about his faith and about his core values, and that's a really cool thing. Circle Sport Leavine Family Racing, their core value is accessibility. They want fan engagement. They want their drivers to be out in front with the fans. And they're basically one of their core values. And actually, if you go to their website, you can actually read it. Basically, their whole team is built around accessibility, humility, the whole 9 yards. So they're really great. And let me tell you something. The 95 car has got some fantastic paint schemes. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Darlington scheme, the throwback scheme was obviously beautiful, but they've got a pretty flashy hot rod pretty much every weekend. They've got several different American flag themes going on. I mean, that's a really snazzy looking car on any given weekend. So, I mean, it really sticks out. So, keep an eye out for Michael McDowell and the whole group, the Thrivent Financial Group and Circle Sport Leavine Family Racing, because they're really trying to do great things. They're trying to grow the team. They have a Richard Childress Alliance. So, they're bringing good components to the track, obviously. So let's give them a let's give them a look-see on Sundays and see how they're doing.
And a great finish, and congrats to that team yesterday. I mean, they started 30th and ended up in 27th. So, I mean, they've been showing a lot of momentum out there each week, and hopefully, like I said, they're obviously very empowered by fan engagement and some of that inspirational messaging that's getting into the hands of that team, certainly motivating them, and keep up the great work out there for that whole entire team.
I mean, for a small team that's still developing, still in kind of their developing stages, to stay on the lead lap, to keep the car in one piece, all that thing, to pull all that together, and to continue, like I said, he stayed on the lead lap. He moved up 3 spots.
Yeah.
That's really good. And I actually, in the famous words of Ryan Ellis, when you're in number 39 car is extremely hard to pass. Right. So they're all very competitive. Absolutely. So just because they're in the back of the pack, don't think that they're not fast. Don't think they're not competitive. No. It's a very tough sport. There's a reason that only 40 people on the planet show up to do this every weekend.
Yeah.
So
and consistency counts. So
absolutely.
So like I said, I mean, keep your eyes open for what the Thrivent Financial Circle Sport Leavine family racing team is doing out there each week. Where do we go next? I mean, there's so many other things that we could talk about with yesterday's win with Martin Truex.
Marquis Martin.
Yeah, let's spend some time on Martin, despite the fact that it's obvious at this point everybody's probably had an opportunity to catch up on the news and what happened there. Huge emotional moment for Truex. He was obviously that to me, dude. That celebration yesterday. You could tell that he just didn't want that to end. Between getting out of the car, walking over to pick up the checkers, waving to the fans, pumping fists, getting down and kissing the start-finish line as best as he could with the helmet on there. But the sentiment was all there, and you knew that that's such a huge every win that Truex has had so far. The 2 this season have been huge for him.
Well, if you go back in Martin's racing career, he's appreciated some success, and unfortunately, I mean, his career has kind of been rife with unfortunate events that were not at his own hands.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go all the way back, and I hate to bring it up because it is so old hat and so yesterday's news and so far behind us. But you go back to Spingate and all the things that happened there, and unfortunately, he was collateral damage in that whole thing. I mean, he lost a sponsor. He basically he had to walk away from Michael Waltrip Racing because of that whole thing. So, it really getting with Barney Furniture Row folks and Barney Visser's vision, and I've said this from the very beginning. This isn't a hobby to Furniture Row.
No.
Barney Visser has got a history of grabbing drivers that he sees talent in. If you go back to Kurt Busch, he gave Kurt Busch an opportunity, and now he's got Martin Truex Jr. And because he knows these drivers have promise,
right.
He's given them a consistently fast race car. It's gotten faster and faster. Obviously, joining forces with Joe Gibbs Racing, we've said it time and time again, was one of the smartest business moves a small team can possibly do. Because the Toyota product is proven. Joe Gibbs Racing knows exactly what to do with it, and he happens to have a driver that can do anything with a race car that he wants.
Right.
So it's just kind of it's the perfect storm, and as a fan, I get kind of emotional when Martin wins because he's the guy that everybody can get behind.
Yeah.
It's hard to find anything bad to say about him. He's such a nice guy. He's so humble.
Yep.
And he's a great race car driver. So, and if you've been watching his career, you just kind of put your head down and you're like, God, how much more can this guy possibly take?
Yeah. Well, he, watching the post-race interview yesterday, last night, the fact is that, unlike Harvick at this point, but the Truex team, the number 78 team there with Furniture Row, Martin's very confident in their ability at this point to be a huge contender in the chase. So, like we said earlier on the show tonight or today, the fact is that they've taken their bumps and bruises earlier this year, missed out on opening up the season with a win against Denny Hamlin in a Daytona 500. But the fact is despite all those setbacks, having Cole Pern still on probation, they're certainly very confident in where they're pointing or headed to coming into the chase this season. So I expect that we're going to see a lot. I can't imagine this is going to be the last win out of the 78 team before the end of this season. and I'm looking
I think
forward to see
there's
that
someone
momentum.
they are a team that you're going to have to worry about,
Yeah.
not just in the chase, but now that they've got some really good momentum. Of course, they're kicking off a second team next season. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there, because now you're going to have two teams collaborating, sharing technology, sharing information.
It's been great to watch him since the win at Pocono there in 2014, and they've steadily gained a ton of momentum. The alliance with Joe Gibbs, the switch over to Toyota, obviously that was probably a question mark that was kind of hanging over the heads of not just the team but the fans as well, to see how quickly they were able to execute a program that was obviously tough and competitive right on the onset of this year. So, I mean, they've certainly got a lot of things pointed in the right direction for this at this moment. So,
yeah, I mean, he's gone from a driver working for a reasonably competitive team to a driver that was consistently in the top 5 and the top 10, nibbling around the edges, to a team that, you won a race, to a team that this year has won 2 races.
Yeah. And adding to the fold, like you said. So, I mean,
that is a perfect example of consistency, staying at it, the old stick-to-itiveness, hard work and dedication. And I got to tell you, man, they're going to be a team that you're going to have to worry about in the future. So I think, the other Joe Gibbs cars are probably thinking, oh, my God, now we got to face this guy. And I'm sure everybody else, all of his old former Chevrolet teammates and all that he's being on a very routine basis have got to be thinking the same thing, too.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting next year with all the changes going on and the new drivers and, like I said, the Furniture Row team adding on another driver and Stuart Haas moving to Ford and Clint Boyer going to the 15 and Tony Stewart being retired. And there's going to be a lot going on. And there's still that where we're not really sure what the future for Dale Jr. holds, to be honest with you.
I was just going to swing. Great segue, dude, because I was just going to talk about that. So Junior yesterday.
That's how you and I operate.
Yeah,
we're just like that. It's crazy.
The mental electricity is phenomenal. So Junior recap, so he did his press conference. I was hoping to have a little bit of audio for that today that we could talk about. But Junior obviously stepping out of the 88 car for the rest of the season, kind of undetermined at this point. I think he's fortunate or expecting. It was good to hear kind of where he's at and that there's progress being made. And listening to his doctor yesterday in that press conference, he seemed to talk with a lot of confidence. And, of course, we're all laymen. We don't really understand the complexities of this type of injury that Junior has. We try to understand it the best we can. It's not physically apparent of what he has to deal with, but Junior talked a lot about the anxiety, being in big places like a racetrack, So I can't imagine, Junior was saying that is, look, I can sit on the couch, I can be in my house, and I'm completely fine. And then I step outside to go get the mail or whatever, and, it just opens up a whole Pandora's box of what he has to deal with and how his brain has to process all that new information and everything else. So the good thing is like he said, both he and his doctor, they're very optimistic about the plan that he's on, how he's recovering, the exercises that he's having to do to get himself adjusted and more comfortable, and ultimately expecting to be able to return behind the wheel of that 88 car. So, I mean, certainly this is big news for everybody, not just Junior fans, but NASCAR in general. And, I think we kind of all expected with the last 3 to 4 weeks that have gone by where Junior wasn't in the car, we were all kind of anticipating the fact that, this could be much longer than anyone had expected. But he might come back for 2017. Retirement doesn't seem to be in the cards just yet. And I would certainly hate to think that it will be. So I'm hopeful that, like I said, with the exercises, the treatment that he's going through with his doctors. I looked up that University of Pittsburgh, their neurology department, and I mean, they've got some talented people in there in the programs on how they evaluate and assess this. And they're actually one of the leading universities in the country for head injuries, specifically for sports and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and it's all relative. I mean, that stuff is all relative. Science, all relative to the people that are willing to step forward and offer up information. And the problem with concussions in particular is it's really kind of been very taboo. A lot of people would, kind of keep it under the covers, if you will. That's the reason why all these big athletic teams have come up with a protocol now. Because used to be it was something you kind of just kept down and you kept quiet about because it was either a sign of weakness or, let's face it, you just couldn't afford to not play.
Right.
You had to be in the game, coach. So, I mean, that now the philosophy has kind of changed, and it is detrimental to the health of these athletes. So, this program that Dale has basically entered into, what's really cool about it is that he's been very forthcoming with all of the stages of the treatment that he's been in. He's been very forthcoming with what this injury basically means to him and how it affects his daily living. It's been pretty fascinating. And to me, the biggest thing is he's given these brilliant doctors something to look at. They have a benchmark.
Yeah.
And athletes need to continue to come forward. And I have a feeling that Dale is kind of the Pied Piper when it comes to that. I think him stepping out to the forefront and saying, hey, folks, with concussions, here's what I'm doing. And I think he's going to slowly kind of encourage other people to do it, because the only way you're going to find a solution, the only way you're going to find a cure, if there is one, is these doctors have to be able to study subjects that are suffering from whatever it is you're trying to fix, right? It doesn't matter if it's cancer or concussions or blindness or deafness or whatever. You need people to step forward and say, hey, I need help.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's doing that, the fact that he's kind of the trendsetter and kind of the pace setter is great. The problem that I have, and I'm not a doctor, I don't own an elite level cup team, or for that matter, anything else. I don't even own an elite level tricycle team.
Yeah.
But I keep thinking about the liability involved if he is as sensitive right now to another potential injury. Could I actually, in good faith, sign off on him getting back into a car for a play race?
Well, you know what, Evan, and here's what was interesting about that press conference with his doctor, he had alluded to the fact that, the current situation or the current injury that Junior has, if I understood this correctly, is whatever that injury is impacting for Junior, whether that's short-term memory, dealing with the large spatial, when he's getting into the grocery stores and things like that. It seemed as though his doctor alluded to the fact that those are the areas that they're attempting to heal, exercise and to heal. And I think the expectation from him is that they're going to get over this. And so, like I said, it certainly seemed very optimistic about the recovery based off of what Junior's currently dealing with. Now, the outlying issue, and the doctor had highlighted this, is that does not necessarily dismiss the fact that, if he got caught up in a big wreck anywhere, just like any driver, that he couldn't suffer something new. But it seems as though their focus right now is on the current injury with the concussion and how they're attempting to recover that. And so they're expecting that they, like you said, they kind of have the baseline. They know where he's affected. They know the exercises he needs to go through, and they have something now to gauge improvement from. So, like I said, certainly it doesn't dismiss Junior from being involved in anything big after the fact that could cause troubles, but again, it's not that much different from any other driver that's out there in the field right now. So
sure, and of course, obviously, we all in the racing community, every single one of us wishes for his most of all his health.
Yeah.
Second of all, his return back to motorsports.
Yeah.
And believe me, his health to anybody should be first and foremost, and I believe it is. The racing community has had a great outpouring of sentiment for Dale.
Yeah.
He's obviously the kind of guy that everybody wants to get behind. So, Dale, we definitely want you to get better first. And if it's in the card for you to return to racing, well, then we patiently await your triumphant return to the sport you love so dearly. So,
absolutely. Yeah. No, good stuff. I mean, Chase is going to be a little bit different. Obviously, those fans, all of us that look forward to Dale each week, whatever. We're going to watch a phenomenal racer also battle this and watch how he comes out of that in the end as well. So,
and, comes opportunity, too. So, I mean, it's a horrible way to go about it, and I hate to kind of make a positive out of it, but if you're going to turn a negative into a positive, the silver lining is we get to see Alex Bowman's talents on display.
Absolutely.
And see what that young man can do with a race car. And, so you never know what the future holds for that young man as well. So it's either way is going to be a pretty exciting to see what happens on the full side. So speaking of Chase, we got Richmond coming up.
Yep.
This
is the last race of the final season, man.
The last hurrah. So, Cliff always liked to kind of throw some picks out in the air. So I think we probably
I'll let you go first this time, dude.
You're going to let me go first?
Yeah,
I'm actually, believe it or not, I'm going to go ahead and stick by my guns. Pardon the pit road blunder pun, and I'm going to go with the 4-car. I'm going to stick with Kevin Harvick.
All right. Richmond?
This guy, he's nibbling around the edges, so I mean, I think he's just got another win coming, and I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there.
I'm going with Logano, number 22 out there at Richmond. I'm feeling the 22. He did well last year in the chase there. The fact is that I think he's due, man. He's got to enter into the chase with more than one win. He's so close, and we talked about this before. Been relatively consistent. To me, Logano's been uncharacteristic this year, or over the last few months, anyways. Seems to carry a lot of speed. Doesn't seem to get too shuffled back into the pack. Seems to have some good finishes, finishing up 5th yesterday. I'm feeling it for you, Joey, so get out there and get it, because I think you got one more in you before the end of this regular season.
Hey, folks, we have one more race left in the regular season, and then guess what?
All hell breaks loose.
We wrap up the regular season with the big show, our very first attempt, 3 hours long.
Yeah.
So we have regular season recaps. We have chase predictions. We're going to go through these drivers one by one. Yep. We're going to pick them apart. We're going to talk about our opinions for what they're going to do in the chase. We're going to have 3 fabulous guests to be announced.
Yep.
And we're going to have a great time. We're going to be drinking coffee. You never know. We might be in our fluffy bunny slippers and pajamas. You just don't know with Cliff and I. But we're going to have a good time. So you're going to get to kick off the chase with Sides Only Radio. I advise you to be there.
Yeah. So thanks for listening to Right Sides Only Radio. Follow us on Twitter at Right Sides Radio. Go to our website, rightsidesonlyradio.com. Download our app. You're going to need this for the big show. It's on your phone. It's on your devices there. You can listen to us at work, in the car, whatever you end up doing on Monday, September 12th for the big show. We'll be here for 3 hours. Everybody, enjoy your Labor Day. Thanks so much for listening to us. Retweet and share this episode. Get people out there to listen to Right Sides Only Radio. We're out, Evan.
We're out.
Yes.
Peace.